Yeah. Okay.
As people are joining us, welcome everyone.
We'll wait for just another minute or two and we'll start. So hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jody Costello, and I'm a coach here at Meru Health. Thank you for meeting me and Bella here today at this webinar. Skip the New Year's resolutions and try setting intentions instead. Together, we'll explore the difference between goal setting and intention setting to find the deeper values beneath your goal. By learning this, you'll find real motivation to recommit to your New Year's goals and feel your best. So let me just introduce Meru Health. If you're new to Meru, we are a digital mental health program that uses a continuous care model led by dedicated therapists and coaches, plus breakthrough digital tools and activities. And we've been clinically proven to deliver industry-leading outcomes. So today I would like to introduce Bella Shaw. She is our presenter. She's a certified coach and also the associate director of our preventative coaching program. And before we start, just some housekeeping. Remember that this is for educational purposes only and not a substitute for professional help. This is being recorded. It will be distributed to everyone afterwards. And we'll be using Slido to generate word clouds, and you will hear your responses, and you will hear and see some of your responses to reflective questions. We will share the QR code for that in just a minute. In addition to Slido, we'll also be using the chat to comment and share, so please use that freely. Now I'll turn it over to Bella.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today as part of this webinar. I'm excited to be with you all and learn the art of intention setting. So our agenda here, a couple of the things that we'll be covering. We'll learn how to differentiate between intention setting and goal setting. We'll learn the art of intention setting practice that supports your goals. And you'll have an opportunity to reflect on and draft your intentions. We'll also learn how to create healthy boundaries to honor your intentions and goals. And finally, we'll end with learning how to nurture your intention with a practice called joyful dedication. So let's get started. What you'll need today for this webinar, just something to write on, some journal, paper, a pen. There'll be many opportunities for reflection, as I covered in the agenda. A goal that you have for this year, and if you don't have a goal, then maybe a new goal that you'd like to create for this year. And then your openness, presence, and participation. So I invite you to turn off anything that could be a distraction and give yourself the permission to be here for this next hour. And I also encourage you to share your reflections in Slido when there's an opportunity, or the chat box. So reading each other's responses can be really inspiring and motivating for all of us here. So this is the Slido QR code. If you'd like to join us, you can just scan this QR code on your phone and open it up. And when I bring up the Slido slide later, you'll be able to participate in the polls. So I want to begin with this well-known quote that many of you might be familiar with. From our intentions springs our deeds, from our deeds spring our habits, and from our habits grow our character. And from this character develops our destiny. Similarly, mindfulness teacher Tara Brach describes how our entire lives are on the tip of our intentions. So just as this quote reads, intentions drive our actions. And over time, our actions become our way of being. So let's explore what we mean by the word intention. So, the simplest way to understand intention is that intention asks, how do I want to feel? Its focus is internal on your relationship with yourself. So, why does focusing on how we want to feel rather than what we want to get done or achieve matter or make a difference? Well, at the end of the day, isn't what's most important whether or not we reached our goals? Well, actually, focusing on how we want to feel can actually fuel your motivation and sustain your motivation over the long term. So let's explore goals and motivation in the next few slides. Jody, I'm seeing something in the chat. Okay, so should I keep going?
Someone asked if you could show the QR code slide again because they didn't get a chance to
Sure.
change the
And the
camera.
QR code will actually come up again when I bring up the polling question. So you'll have another opportunity, but here it is. Okay. So goals and intentions are not the same thing, though sometimes they're sort of viewed that way. A goal describes what you want to do or achieve in the future. It's focused on external accomplishments, and it's something you can clearly check off your list. For example, go running every day to get in shape or learn how to make Thai food. So, goal setting is a valuable practice that helps you get things done. Intentions, on the other hand, they're softer, they're aspirational and value focused, which we'll learn more about in a moment. So, I want to ask everyone here, what is a goal that you have for this year? And again, if you don't have a goal for this year, what is a goal that you think you might want to have for this year? Just take a moment to reflect on that. And as you're reflecting on your goal, I invite you to share your goals here in the chat so we can read each other's goals. And as you're thinking about your goal and maybe sharing it in the chat, this is our first poll. You can see the QR code in the top left corner if you'd like to join. But as you think about your goal, how do you want to feel while you're working towards this goal? Invite everyone to share how they want to feel while they're working towards this goal. Yeah, happy, motivated, have a positive attitude, want to feel productive, calm, excited. Motivated is coming up a lot. Yeah, accomplished, driven, encouraged, focused. These are all really powerful emotions. And these the way that we want to feel really matters, and we're going to keep exploring that. Thank you everyone for participating. Now I want to ask you another question. As you think about your goal right now, how do you actually feel? How do you actually feel right now while you're working towards this goal? Scared, apprehensive, overworked, fear, intimidated, not good enough, stressed, overwhelmed. Wow. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So you can see there's a big difference between how we want to feel about our goal and how we're actually feeling. And what's the impact of that? So here's the crucial thing to understand about goals. While setting the goal can be motivating in the short term, because they're outcome oriented, we can fall into a win or lose mindset trap. If you feel like you're not making progress towards your goal according to whatever timeline you set for yourself, this can make you feel like a failure. And you might end up feeling worse about yourself than before you even set the goal. Did you know that the average New Year's resolution ends at day 32? And maybe even if you achieve your goal, you might still feel empty in the end. And that's because you were so focused on the goal that you lost sight of everything else in the present moment going on in your life. And you end up feeling disconnected. Does this resonate with anyone? Have you ever felt this way, empty, after you actually reach your goal? If this resonates, I invite you to click on your chat button and enter +1 in the chat. Just +1 if this resonates with you.
Bella, some people are saying the chat has been disabled, so they're using the question and answer
Oh,
instead.
okay. I think that's fine. It works the same, right? No, it doesn't. Um, Let me see if I can try to fix that very quickly. If not, we'll just move on. Hmm. Okay. Well, we will just move on and make do without the chat. So when we fall into this trap of being outcomes oriented, um, when we fall into this trap of being outcomes oriented, we could lose sight of why we set our goal in the first place and instead get caught up in all those emotions people just shared: stressed, overwhelmed, fearful. So, the why of our goal is your deeper intention. It's how you actually want to feel moment to moment, day to day in your life. So, when we remember our intention each time we take steps towards our goal, we're able to sustain our motivation over time. Let's look at a quick example. Your intention could be to feel happy or peaceful, but your goal is to hike to the top of a small mountain. You want to see this great view when you get to the top. And it's a great goal, and you get excited about it and you schedule a hike with your friends. However, before you begin the hike, you set your intention to be present to the sights and smells along the way, to be present with your friends, to enjoy their company. Being present is helping you to fulfill that intention of feeling happy or peaceful. So even if the forest fog unexpectedly rolls in and prevents you from getting to the top and seeing that view, your intention to enjoy the sights and sounds along the way and enjoy each other's company is fulfilled. Now imagine if you were just focused on the goal of reaching the top and the fog prevented that, you can return home feeling pretty disappointed. But if you focus on your intention of being present throughout the experience, you return home satisfied. Another challenge with being overly focused on outcomes is that we might feel like there's always something missing in the here and now. This can manifest as a feeling of unease, a constant and nagging voice playing some variation of not enough, a need to fix or change something in order to feel better. Has anyone ever felt that way? Like something is missing. And if you could only fix that one thing, then everything would be better. So, how do we know what the deeper intention is behind our goal? Well, there's two questions that can help you to realize your intention. And the first is, what matters most to you about this goal? What matters most? And the second is, what do you value? Answering these questions will help you to balance your desired outcome with the deeper intention. Let's look at values a bit more. Why are values important? Well, can you recall a recent time when you felt content or satisfied? Let me bring something to mind. Our feelings of satisfaction and contentment are often nested in our core values. When we're living in alignment with our values, things like service, connection with nature, friendship, honesty, health, we feel more content. And on the other hand, we can feel dissatisfied when we're out of alignment with our core values. And this feeling of satisfaction is important for sustaining our motivation over time. So I'd like to invite us to do a guided mindfulness practice together to help us remember what matters most to us. Mindfulness practices allow us to step back, pause, and observe the contents of our mind and what we're feeling within ourselves. They're a powerful tool for quieting all the normal distractions we experience, coming into our present moment experience, and finding more clarity within ourselves. So, for this practice, wherever you are, I invite you to relax, whether you're seated or on a chair or seated on the floor or standing. Relax, ease your shoulders. Notice if your spine is straight. And you can close your eyes for this practice or have a soft downward gaze. And go ahead and take in a full deep inhale right now into your belly, perhaps your deepest inhale today. And when you're ready, you can slowly exhale and release. And just take a few moments to settle into this time and space together. And just allow yourself to let go of whatever you brought in or whatever is awaiting for you. Give yourself the permission to be here. And now I invite you to begin to imagine yourself seated here, wherever you are, and imagine you're seeing yourself. And now step outside of yourself as if you're stepping out of your body and you're observing your whole self from the outside in. Who do you see? Let's rewind to this morning. Take yourself back to your morning, and for a few moments, observe yourself going about your day, waking up from your bed, getting ready, having your tea or coffee or breakfast, commuting to your workspace or getting ready in front of your workspace, moving from one task to another. Continue to observe yourself. And notice any thoughts coming up as you continue to witness. Notice if there's any critical or worried or judgmental thoughts, curious thoughts. Whatever these thoughts are, just notice them and let them go, just like they're clouds floating through your mind. And as you reach this present moment, observing yourself now in this workshop, I invite you to explore this human being. Similar to how you stepped outside of yourself, I invite you to step back into yourself, re-inhabiting your body, exploring this person from within. Who am I? How am I feeling right now? What sensations am I noticing in my body? You might imagine diving deeper and deeper beneath the surface of the ocean, observing or remembering what's there. Are there any personal qualities that you connect with most in yourself? What are these qualities? What values are most dear to you? What values are driving your actions? What do you believe about yourself? Who are you in relationship to other people? Are there any parts of you that are only known by those close to you or by no one at all? What parts of you do you express freely? What parts of you excite you or scare you? Who is the me that you've grown out of? Who is the me that has always remained the same? Who is the me that is wanting to be born into this world? What values are most dear to you? For the next few moments, continue to explore yourself from within, holding these questions about your beliefs and values. What are you discovering or remembering about yourself? Are you showing up the way you really want to? What do you want to change or explore more deeply? I invite you to take another full, deep inhale. And when you're ready, slowly exhale and release. And if your eyes were if your eyes were closed, you could open them and come back. So Jody's going to share a link in the chat, but Jody, are you able to chat or is it restricted?
I can try it. I have it on host and participants. I can try to share it. I'm not sure if it's going to show up for them or not, but I will put it in the chat.
I see. Okay. Well, I don't know if the participants are able to see the chat link, but if you're not, that's okay. Hopefully the practice we just did together got you thinking about your values. And I want you now to just take a few moments or a few minutes, I'll give you a few minutes, to identify up to 5 core values that are important to you. If you're able to see the list, let me see. Okay.
I'm sharing it in the question and answer, and it should be able to go out to everybody. So,
Okay. So if you're able to see the list, you could use that, but it's okay if you can't. Just think about your core values, and I want you to identify 5. And if it's hard for you, if a lot of values are coming up for you, think about it this way. What are 5 core values that you'd place a gold star next to? These are so important for you. And as you're identifying your values, I invite you to share them in the chat if you feel comfortable. Sometimes it's fun to read and share our values with each other to see what we have in common. and also to see how we might be different. Jody, if you see any coming in, do you want to read some of them?
Yes, I'm just putting the link in once again and put it in once, but just do it again. And let's see, I haven't seen any answers come in yet.
Okay.
Yeah, none yet.
So we'll move on, but it's important for the rest of this workshop to have those, jot those down. If you have a pen and paper, or make a mental note of those 5 core values.
There's one that came in that was authenticity.
Okay. And now I invite you, keep those values in mind, or have them jotted down. I want you to bring back that goal. Bring back to mind the goal that you have for this year, or one that you want to have for this year. And then I'm going to ask you a couple of reflective questions, and you can jot down your responses to these as you think about this goal. What is most important to you about your goal? What matters to you about this goal? What core values out of the ones you just identified are reflected in this goal? How do you tend to feel when you are practicing these values in other parts of your life? These 5 core values, how do you tend to feel when you think about instances where you are really living into these values? So this feeling is your deeper intention. This is what matters most to you about your goal. And you might realize that what matters most to you has nothing to do with the outcome. A simple example that I can share here is weight loss. The goal might be to lose weight, but the underlying value is health. And when I think about health, the way I want to feel, my intention is light and content. There are many ways that I can feel light and contented. So that's not to say the goal of weight loss isn't important, but when I remember and focus on how I want to feel light and content, this might help me to stay motivated rather than focusing on this outcome. I wanted to ask people to share how their intentions, 1 or 2 words of how they want to feel. But since the chat's not working, I invite you to just hold that. You can jot it down on your paper, that those feelings that you want to have. This is your intention. Do we have any questions really quick?
No questions. There was some other
Okay,
values that were put in the chat, but no other questions.
great. Thank you, everyone. So we're going to take a few minutes now that you know your intention, you know how you want to feel, we're going to draft intention statements. And there's 3 simple ways that we can draft intention statements. The first one here is inserting what you want to feel when you think about the core value in your goal. Inserting what you want to feel into that blank. So an example for this first one might be, while learning how to garden, I intend to practice curiosity, or I tend to invite curiosity. The second one is inserting your core value in the first blank and the antonym of that in the second blank. So while learning how to garden, mindfulness over distraction. And the third one is inserting a single value focused word. So what's most important to me about learning how to garden is being in nature. Being in nature is not a single value focused word, but um, it's encompassing the value of being. So each of these intention statements should evoke to you how you want to feel while working towards your goal. So I want to bring up Slido now, or maybe I'll leave this up for just a few minutes while you draft your intention statement. And then in the next slide, we'll have an opportunity to share your intention statements in Slido so we can read each other's intention statements. Okay. And Jody, let me know if someone asks to stay on this slide a little bit longer. I'm going to go to Slido. So once you have your intention statement, please share it here in Slido. And we can look at them together. What is most important for me to find a new job is security. So security is the value. So there's many ways that you can live into this value. And when you focus on the value of security and what security helps you to feel, and you focus on that feeling, how might that sustain your motivation in your job search? I saw some other people tell her they're coming in slowly. What is most important to me about working on self is honesty. Yeah. And how does honesty, what is the intention beneath honesty, the feeling beneath it? These are wonderful. What is most important to me about my goal of holistic health is longevity. While working towards losing weight, I intend to practice honesty, staying on track, and kindness when I don't. I love that. While working on my goal to flourish in all areas, I will focus on gratitude and what I can do. Thank you, everyone, for sharing these intention statements. Inner harmony. Thank you, everyone. So let's practice connecting with this intention, this feeling more deeply. So this is going to be a really quick visualization practice that utilizes positive psychology and neuroplasticity. Visualizing can generate positive emotions, and when we allow ourselves to experience these positive emotions for longer periods of time, this can influence our inherent negativity bias and help us to change what we're focusing on if we're overly focused on what's not going well. So for this, I also invite you to close your eyes or have a soft downward gaze and bring to mind your goal. And imagine yourself practicing or working towards your goal. And as you visualize your goal, remember your intention. And now I want you to bring your focus, shift your focus to that intention, how you want to feel. And imagine you're like a sponge soaking in this feeling, whether it's peacefulness or joy or healthiness or ease. Whatever your intention is, allow yourself to really feel it in your core. What do you notice when you focus on your intention and how you want to feel rather than the goal? Does it shift or fuel your motivation? Another way to try this is to first bring to mind your intention and then visualize yourself working towards your goal. So just the reverse, but sometimes that works better for some people. So each time you think about or work on your goal, what shifts if you focus on how you want to feel in this present moment and not on the outcome? Speaking or declaring our intentions out loud and sharing them increases their strength. So you could share your intentions with maybe a partner, a friend. And I'm going to share mine with you. I'll go by sharing my goal and intention that I'm holding this year. And then I invite you to share yours, either by saying it out loud or in your head. And if you'd like, you could also share it in the Q&A, and Jody can read some of them. So here's my goal and my intention. While working towards my goal here's my intention statement. While working towards my goal of having more fun in life, presence and connection over rumination and isolation. So I invite you to declare those statements out loud, share them with someone in your life, perhaps someone who could check in with you as well to see how that's going for you. What we pay attention to influences how we feel. For example, do you notice that you feel more calm when you give your attention to calming thoughts? Or do you feel more positive and hopeful when you shift your focus from something that's stressful in your life to something that you're grateful for in your life? If the way you want to feel while working towards your goal is not actually how you're feeling most of the time, here are some questions that might be helpful to ask yourself. What can I shift or change about my mindset? For example, if you have a perfectionist mindset, would it be helpful to focus on progress over perfection? Or if you have an all or nothing mindset, would it be helpful to focus on what you are able to accomplish? What am I noticing or what am I not noticing or giving my attention to? Remember the hiking example? The goal was to get to the top, but if they didn't pay attention to all the sights and sounds and the company of their friends, then they would have felt disappointed not getting to the top. So what are you not noticing or giving your attention to right now? And you can try a 5 senses check-in practice when you notice that you're overly focused on the future and outcomes, when you catch yourself in that state. 5 senses check-in is really simple. It's stopping and asking yourself, what are 5 things I can see right now? Taking those in. What are 4 things I can touch or feel? Maybe actually feeling those things. What are 3 things I can hear? What are 2 things I can smell? And what is 1 thing I can taste? And the opposite of what am I not noticing is, what do I need to stop giving my attention to? For example, am I overly focused on some form of external validation rather than how I want to feel? Something else to consider are boundaries. And boundaries can be internal within ourselves, but also external. And I'm going to talk about both in the next few slides. But boundaries allow us to recognize one, what we need for our own well being, identify ways that we can meet these needs, and then communicate to others why these needs are important to us and how the other person can help us by respecting our boundaries. So, are there any boundaries that you need that could help you focus more on your intention, how you want to feel? And here are some signs that boundaries might be needed. These first two are a sign of internal boundaries, that internal boundaries are needed. You're feeling disappointed in yourself, you feel like you're failing, you're not feeling present, you're constantly focused on the future. And a sign of external boundaries might be needed. You're feeling irritable or angry most of the time. You feel responsible for other people's thoughts and feelings. You're feeling resentful or finding it difficult to make decisions. You have a never ending to do list. You're not asking for what you need, and you're waking up tired. So let's talk about internal boundaries. Internal boundaries might look like balancing out the voice of your inner critic with your inner coach. How many of us have an inner critic that is evaluating, measuring, and critiquing our performance constantly? And this critic might be overly focused on the outcome, and it's good to be aware of that. And when you notice your inner critic, try to be curious about that critic and connect with your inner coach, engage the coach. So, how many of us have a healthy dialogue with our inner coach? The voice who sees the good in us and wants us to be happy, independent of our external accomplishments. To access the inner coach, you can ask yourself, here's a practice to access your inner coach, and you can try it right now. What are 3 or 4 things that I appreciate about myself? Bring to mind 3 or 4 things you appreciate about yourself. And then focus on just one of those things, one of those qualities. What does it feel like to appreciate this quality in you? What does this quality look like? How has this quality helped you to show up in your life or show up for other people? Does this quality have a color or a texture? Try to experience the life of this quality within you. And now ask, are there any people that help me to develop this quality or that influence this quality within myself? And if so, can I send them appreciation? In this way, you are experiencing positive emotions as opposed to critical emotions, negative emotions. You're including yourself in the circle of common humanity. Just like other people in your life, you too have good qualities. When you practice self appreciation, this helps you to balance your inner critic, generate positive emotions, and bring you back into your present moment experience. Now let's talk about external boundaries. External boundaries can look like time, physical space, external boundaries in your relationships, emotions. So these are areas listed here where you might need to make adjustments in your life. In a perfect world, what boundaries would you implement to get more in alignment with your values and connected with your intention? You could jot this down if it's helpful for you. And if you're experiencing resistance, what are the benefits for your well-being if this boundary existed? Just think about that. And what are the different forms this boundary can take? For example, does the boundary look like a request that you can make of another person or a commitment that you can make to yourself? So we're going to close soon. And setting an intention, as we've talked about, it can be like planting a seed. And there's a practice called joyful dedication that's been developed by a man named Thupten Jinpa. He's the Dalai Lama's primary English translator. And there's 2 steps to the joyful dedication practice. And this joyful dedication practice is a way to check in with your intention day to day. Step 1 is to target your intention towards particular parts of your day when you really want to live into this intention. So, for example, my intention was connection. So I can target my morning, my afternoon, and my early evening. I could even set an alarm on my phone and see when that alarm goes off, how connected am I feeling? Or am I going into isolation? And step 2 is the actual joyful dedication part. In joyful dedication, you can mindfully check in, preferably with a partner, on how you're doing at the end of your day. And during this check in, take note of the times that you were able to practice your intention and quietly acknowledge and celebrate that. That's great. This fuels your motivation, the act of noticing when you were able to live your intention. And if you notice that you forgot your intention, note that without self judgment or disappointment. Just notice what got in the way. Notice how you forgot. And then recommit to your intention the next day. And at the end of your joyful dedication, you can declare your intention statement out loud again. This strengthens your commitment. So, this is how we can nurture our intention every single day after we planted the seed. This is how we remember our why and live more in the present moment. Let's close with a bit of self compassion because working on our goal can be hard and stressful, and we can be hard on ourselves while doing it. And why self compassion? Self compassion, it's a way of extending warmth and kindness towards ourselves, just as we extend it to people that we care about. And research shows that regular self compassion actually builds your resilience and your motivation and your sense of self worth. So, for this practice, you can close your eyes or have a soft downward gaze. And just relax wherever you're seated. Just notice your breath for a few moments, softly flowing in and out. And bring your hand to your heart or your belly. Feel the warmth of your hand. Notice the soft rhythmic beating of your heart or the soft rise and fall of your belly. And I want you to bring to mind someone or some being that you deeply care about. And imagine extending phrases of compassion to them. What are some phrases that you might say to this person or this being? Perhaps may you be kind to yourself. May you be gentle with yourself. May you give yourself the compassion that you need. May you forgive yourself. May you accept yourself just as you are. And imagine how they feel, this person, this being, imagine how they feel when they receive your kindness and compassion. And now I invite you to extend the same kindness and compassion towards yourself. Quietly repeat those phrases to yourself and allow yourself to receive them. Because you too are part of the circle of shared humanity on this planet. You too deserve kindness and compassion. May I be kind to myself. May I be gentle with myself. May I accept myself as I am. May I give myself the compassion that I need. May I forgive myself. May I be patient with myself. I invite you to take in a full deep inhale. Let's all together take in a full deep inhale. And exhale and release whenever you feel ready. Thank you everyone for being here today with us as part of this webinar. We have many more webinars in the series. So looking forward to seeing you all again and being with you all again. And if you'd like to learn more about Meru Health or enroll in our treatment or coaching program, you can just go to meruhealth.com and you'll see the sign up link. We're an in-network with many different health plans, which you can learn about on our sign up page. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Oh, sure. Someone's asking to go back to the first slide with the quote. Let's see. Here we go.
Bill, it looks like you're going to have to stop the recording also.